72 hours of money stress can make you think measurably worse and cost you real dollars. If you live on a low or middle income and every month feels tight, why does the ceiling feel lower at 2 a.m.? In study after study, financial pressure absorbs enough mental bandwidth to cut performance by roughly 10 to 13 IQ points for the moment. That is enough to turn a $40 shortage into a $400 month. And that can happen to careful adults who are trying very hard. This is Wealth Mentor Pro, where every lesson is a step closer to your freedom. So if you have ever asked yourself why you make worse money choices, exactly when money is tight, and why discipline seems to disappear when you need it most, stay with me, because in a few minutes you will see why the problem is not your character. And later, I will give you 3 simple switches that help you think more clearly when money feels heavy. I know how loud a $27 balance can feel. When money is unstable, your brain does not become lazy. It becomes narrow. Your attention locks onto the overdue bill, the rent date, the card minimum, the text from the mechanic, and everything else starts fading at the edges. That narrowing is not weakness. It is not some hidden flaw in your personality. It is a protective response that becomes expensive very quickly. If this already gives you some relief, leave a quiet like. The real question under almost every search on this topic is simple. Am I bad with money or am I overloaded? The answer matters because one path leads to shame and more chaos, and the other leads to systems that actually work on a tired Tuesday night. Financial stress works like extra gravity. A normal decision suddenly feels heavier than it should. You open your banking app to check whether you can buy groceries, and now you are also thinking about gas, the phone bill, school shoes, and whether the landlord will charge a late fee after Friday. One decision becomes 5. 5 decisions become 10. By the time you reach the grocery aisle, your brain is already running on emergency fuel. That is why people under money strain often make choices that look irrational from the outside. They are not evaluating one clean problem. They are carrying a stack of unresolved ones at the same time. The brain has limited working memory, limited attention, limited self-control, and limited sleep. Financial pressure taxes all 4. A lot of money advice quietly skips that part. It starts with spreadsheets and motivation, as if you are making choices from a calm desk with coffee and 8 hours of sleep. But many viewers are making choices while standing in a checkout line, with a buzzing phone, a hungry child, and $83 left until next Thursday. That is a different brain state. If advice does not respect that reality, it sounds neat and still fails in real life. So when someone says, just be more disciplined, notice what is missing. Discipline is hardest to access when bandwidth is lowest. Stress hormones rise, sleep gets lighter, attention becomes more reactive. The future gets harder to feel. The urgent thing in front of you starts winning every vote. Nothing reveals adulthood like a $600 repair on Wednesday. Think about a simple example. Your power bill is due tomorrow. Your checking account is short by $90. You know the smart move is to sit down for 20 minutes, call the utility company, move money from another category, and protect the account from an overdraft. But you have been stressed for weeks, so instead, you avoid it for one more day because your brain is trying to escape pain, not build a perfect plan. The next day, you get a late fee. Then an overdraft. Then a small shortage becomes 3 separate penalties. That is not a moral failure. That is what overload does. This is also why being broke can make someone look inconsistent. One day, you are determined. The next day, you buy takeout, ignore the bill, and tell yourself you will fix everything on Saturday. From the outside, that can look careless. Inside the brain, it is triage. You are not choosing between perfect and stupid. You are choosing between tasks that all feel heavy under a mind that is already tired. That is why the phrase mental bandwidth matters so much here. Bandwidth is the amount of attention and thinking room available right now. When financial worry fills that space, less is left for planning, comparing, resisting, remembering, and recovering. That temporary drop can feel like you got less capable overnight. You did not. Your brain is running under load. Here is one small move you can make today. Write down the next 3 money decisions only, not the next 30. That matters because clarity is cheaper than chaos. A short list lowers the load on working memory and reduces the chance that one missed task becomes 3 fees. If you ignore this, urgency keeps turning small money problems into expensive ones. And this is where wealth building quietly begins. Even before investing enters the picture, every fee avoided, every crisis softened, and every small buffer added moves your net worth in the right direction. Net worth means what you own minus what you owe. When pressure is high, protecting that number starts with protecting your mind. But if financial stress mainly affects attention, why does it also seem to create worse debt decisions later? Why do smart people sign up for expensive fixes they already know are bad? Debt adds gravity to time. It pulls tomorrow into today, then charges rent for the trip. A $200 gap on Monday becomes a credit card advance, a buy now pay, later split, or an overdraft that quietly grows teeth by Friday. This is where the hidden cost becomes brutal. Financial stress does not just make you feel bad, it changes which options feel emotionally available. When your brain is overloaded, relief now starts looking better than savings later. Not because the math changed, because the pain changed. Say your account is low, rent is close, and your car needs a tire. The careful answer might be calling 2 shops, checking a payment arrangement, delaying a non-essential purchase, and protecting the rent first. But that takes bandwidth. The fast answer is swiping the card and promising yourself you will deal with it next month. Next month arrives with interest, less room, and more stress. The same brain now has even less capacity. This is how financial pressure feeds on itself. Your brain loves shortcuts even when the shortcut charges interest. This is why high-cost debt is so dangerous for stressed households. It does not only drain money, it drains thinking room. Every minimum payment becomes another open task. Every due date becomes another background alarm. Every fee starts to feel like proof that you are failing, even when the real problem is structural overload. And again, the usual advice often misses the order of operations. Some videos jump straight to cutting small pleasures, tracking every coffee, or shaming people for convenience spending. But when a person is already near the edge, tiny cuts without stability often create more fatigue, not more control. A low-balance household does not need more judgment. It needs fewer points of failure. Take a common week. On Monday, the card minimum is due. On Tuesday, the daycare payment hits. On Wednesday, groceries run $38 higher than expected. On Thursday, an automatic subscription renews because you forgot the trial end date. Friday brings a $35 overdraft fee. None of those alone feels fatal. Together, they steal attention from work, sleep, relationships, and future planning. That is the hidden cost. The dollars hurt, but the mental spillover hurts too. Apparently, groceries and dignity now arrive in the same bag. There is a deep emotional trick here. When people feel ashamed, they often avoid looking. Avoidance briefly reduces pain, so the brain learns it as relief. But delayed money problems usually grow. The unopened envelope becomes a collection call. The ignored bill becomes a service interruption. The skipped budget review becomes another month of fog. The problem is not just the missed action, it is the habit of turning away because looking feels like a threat. So here is a protective move you can make today. Set every essential bill to at least minimum autopay, even if the amount is small. That single move matters because it makes a bad week less destructive. It does not solve low income. It does not erase debt, but it can stop a temporary mental crash from turning into late fees, penalty rates, or disconnection notices. If you ignore this, you may keep paying a tax on your worst days. This is another place where slow wealth building is not glamorous, but it is real. Reducing high-cost debt and preventing needless fees frees future cash flow. Future cash flow is what eventually builds buffers, ownership, and assets. It is hard to think about long-term investing when next week already feels dangerous. That is exactly why lowering the noise matters first. Now the next question becomes practical. If the brain narrows under stress, what buys that space back fastest? Not in theory, in real life, on a modest income, with rent, groceries, debt, and one surprise away from panic. Without a buffer, life becomes a series of forced landings. A prescription is $47, a tire patch is $32, the school trip is due tomorrow, a shift gets cut. The amount is often not gigantic. The timing is what breaks you. When there is no cushion, every small hit arrives like an emergency, and emergencies burn bandwidth faster than almost anything. This is where the tunnel gets dangerous. Scarcity pushes attention toward what is on fire now. That can be useful for one day. It is terrible for 6 months. You stop updating the budget because the budget feels insulting. You stop checking the retirement account because retirement feels like another planet. You stop comparing insurance options because the premium due this week is louder than the deductible next year. The future gets blurred, and blurred futures do not attract action. Many people describe this as feeling stupid. They are not stupid. They are bandwidth poor. There is a difference. A tired brain under threat is more impulsive, more avoidant, and less strategic. That state can happen to a nurse, a teacher, a freelancer, a warehouse worker, a parent, a graduate student, or a manager. It does not care about your talent. It cares about your load. And this is one more thing typical advice often leaves out. Before optimization comes stabilization. Before perfect budgeting comes protecting the floor. Before building assets comes making sure one $120 surprise does not blow up the month. If a system does not lower stress first, many people simply cannot sustain it. No spreadsheet has ever hugged anyone, but a buffer gets close. Picture two households with the same income. Household A has $0 set aside and 6 bills coming from one checking account. Household B has a separate bills account, a $300 starter buffer, and one card paid on auto pay minimum while they attack the highest cost balance gradually. Neither household is rich. Neither household is relaxed all the time. But household B has fewer daily alarms. Fewer alarms mean better decisions. Better decisions compound. Here is a useful move you can make today. Create a one-page, low-bandwidth money list with only 4 lines: housing, food, transport, and minimum debt payments. Why this helps is simple. When your brain is flooded, you need a short emergency map, not a beautiful master plan. If you ignore this, every surprise keeps competing with everything else at once. And that is exactly how decision fatigue gets expensive. And yes, this links directly to building wealth over time. Wealth is not only about returns, it is about resilience. It is about making your financial life hard to break. A small buffer today protects the future saver and future investor inside you. Without that protection, long-term plans keep getting eaten by short-term fires. Here is the part almost nobody tells you. The first job of a money plan is not to optimize every dollar. It is to calm the nervous system enough that you can think again. If you want, tell me in the comments which bill steals the most peace where you live: housing, debt, groceries, transport, or something else. So let's make this practical, not motivational. Practical. 3 switches. That is all. Rule 1. Stabilize first, optimize second. This matters because a small buffer buys back decision quality before it grows your balance. A $300 to $1,000 starter cushion can stop overdrafts, stop panic swipes, and stop small surprises from becoming new debt. If you earn modestly, that might look like $25 a week, $10 after each paycheck, or every extra dollar from one overtime shift going to a separate emergency pot for the next 90 days. You are not trying to build a glamorous emergency fund on day one. You are trying to reduce the number of financial emergencies that reach your brain as full emergencies. Keep that money in a separate savings account, easy enough to access, but not mixed with daily spending. Label it something boring and clear. Boring names help because they turn drama into procedure. The emergency fund is boring, which is exactly the point. A buffer does more than cover costs. It changes behavior. When a surprise hits and you have even a few $100s available, your choices get slower and better. You can compare, you can call, you can wait one day. That one day is often where expensive mistakes either happen or do not happen. Think of a real example. The car battery dies and the first quote is $240. Without a buffer, you may panic, grab the fastest option, and swipe whatever card still works. With a small cushion, you can call one more shop, ask a friend for a ride to work tomorrow, and make the decision from a steadier place. Same problem, different brain. Rule 2. Make your bad days safe by default. This matters because financial systems should protect you when you are tired, stressed, sick, underpaid, or simply human. For example, split your money into a bills account and a spending account, set minimum auto pay on essentials, and place a 24-hour pause on any non-essential purchase over $50. One simple arrangement can protect rent, utilities, insurance, and debt minimums even when your focus is gone. The key word here is default. Good defaults turn self-control into architecture. When bills leave from one place and spending comes from another, you do not have to mentally defend the rent money 10 times a week. When minimums are automated, a rough Wednesday does not become a penalty on Thursday. When there is a pause rule, you stop asking your stressed brain to make instant lifestyle decisions under pressure. This is not about rigidity. It is about reducing the number of moments where panic gets a vote. Many households lose money not because the income is zero, but because the system is wide open. One forgotten due date, one app notification, one convenience purchase during an exhausted evening, then 3 consequences. If you have variable income, make the floor even simpler. Cover the 4 lines from your low bandwidth list first: housing, food, transport, and minimum debt payments. Everything else waits its turn. That is not scarcity thinking. That is sequence. Sequence protects you from mixing survival decisions with optional ones. And notice how this supports wealth building without pretending you are already wealthy. Less chaos means fewer fees. Fewer fees mean more room. More room means a higher savings rate through systems, not heroic willpower. Systems are slow. Slow is fine. Slow is how people stop bleeding long enough to heal. Rule 3. Build ownership only after breathing room appears. This matters because assets grow best from calm money, not panicked money. Once your starter buffer is in place and high-cost debt is no longer actively spreading, begin a small automatic ownership habit. That might be paying extra toward the most expensive debt, contributing to a retirement account, or using a diversified, low-cost, long-horizon investment approach with money you truly can leave alone. Think $50 a month, not some dramatic all-in move. Ownership changes the emotional meaning of work. A paycheck stops being only a rescue tool and starts becoming a builder tool. That shift matters. Even small ownership gives the future a shape again. It reminds your brain that money is not only for putting out fires, it can also create security later. But timing matters. If you try to invest aggressively while your account is still getting hit by fees and emergencies, the plan may collapse on the first rough month. First, protect the base. Then, add ownership. This is how realistic net worth growth happens for ordinary people. Again, net worth is what you own minus what you owe. Lowering expensive debt and gradually building assets both move that number upward. And keep your expectations grounded. Long-term investing is a concept, not a magic trick. Diversified means spread out. Low cost means fees stay small. Long horizon means years, not next Tuesday. No guarantees, no heroic predictions. Just consistent ownership built on a stable floor. If you are waiting to feel perfectly disciplined before starting, do not. Start when the system is small enough to survive your messy weeks. That is the version that lasts. Now let's come back to the question from the beginning. Why does the ceiling feel lower at 2 a.m. when money is tight? Because at 2 a.m., your brain is holding unfinished costs without finished options. It is rehearsing danger in the dark. The real payoff here is not a new app or a louder promise. It is a 1-minute ritual that gives the brain an exit. Here it is. When financial panic hits, write 4 short lines on paper. What is the exact problem? What is the exact amount? What is the next smallest action? What gets protected first? For example, power bill, $94, call at 9 a.m., protect rent first. Or car repair, $280, get 2 quotes, protect transport for work. Or card payment, $41 minimum. Pay today. Stop the late fee. 4 lines, 60 seconds, no drama, just definition and sequence. Why does this work so well? Because the stressed brain confuses vague threat with total threat. The moment you name the amount and the next action, uncertainty drops. Not always emotionally, at least not right away, but functionally. And functional calm is enough to move. That single minute can stop the spiral where one problem becomes a cloud over everything. It can help you sleep a little sooner. It can help you make one clean call in the morning. It can stop you from swiping for relief when what you actually need is structure. It can prevent a bad night from becoming a bad month. Money calm is not a personality trait. It is a protected state. You build it with buffers, safe defaults, and small ownership. You build it by making your financial life less fragile. You build it by respecting biology instead of insulting yourself for having one. So, if you have been carrying shame for choices made while exhausted, scared, and stretched thin, put some of that shame down. A brain under financial stress is not showing you your worth, it is showing you your load. Lower the load, and the person you thought had disappeared starts showing up again. That is how slow, safe financial progress really looks. Less high-cost debt, more buffer, more control, more ownership over time, a steadier path to a higher net worth. Not flashy, not loud, just durable. And when the ceiling feels lower tonight, remember this. You do not need a complete life overhaul before bed. You need the next smallest action, the amount, and what gets protected first. That is the quiet work we do here at Wealth Mentor Pro, where freedom is built slowly enough to last. If you enjoyed this and it helped you breathe a little easier, like the video and subscribe for more calm, practical lessons like this. And when this ends, watch the next suggested video and keep the momentum while your mind is clear.